Today on Gamer's Couch.
Codenames.
Hi everybody, welcome to the couch. Happy Sunday. What game time?
Psst.
Today,
Very secret today.
As we already said in the opener, we're talking about codenames today. So let me give you our codenames. This is Daniel, also known as husband of Sarah. Also known as Artist Behind Pinselgeschichten. So I'd say we go with Daniel and Sarah because that's a perfect. These are perfect code names for us, right?
Secret agents. So
totally secret.
So you're not going with Bad Pig?
That would be no, that would be my. Now you did say my real name. Don't tell the internet my real name.
I see.
No. For reals, Sarah, Daniel, husband, duckface, talking board games every Sunday. Today it's Codenames, and we start off with rules and gameplay. That's his part to explain. Then we talk about what we liked or not liked about the game, and then we do tell you a bit about funny stories and experiences that we had. And so, sweetheart, let's hear what Codenames is all about. Tell me the rules and the gameplay.
If you haven't guessed by now, Codenames is actually a rather short game about, spies and their code names. So, as great as Solid Snake and Revolver Ocelot are code names for, people, your job in this is to guess the code names of the agents in your team, so to speak, and work together with your codemaster on the other side of the table. You will have 25 of these, codename cards in front of you in a 5x5 grid. So you just lay them out and everybody can see them, and they say things like, this one says tower in German, and they're actually two-sided, so here you have bull on the other side. Die Wand is not the wand, although it is written the same way, but the wall and the bed and so on. So you get the idea. All of these cards have a single word on them, which usually can be, interpreted in two different ways, but some are more specific. We'll get to that. On the other side of the table, you have to split up in two teams. Your team sits on one side of the table and the codemaster or spy master sits on the other side of the table. Both teams have, different codemasters, and both of them look at this little, code, it's not a code wheel, but this little code map highlighting red team's cards and the blue team's cards. So, depending on whose team you're on, you're trying to guess which of these names or words in front of you belong to your team. Looking at this maps 1-to-1 with the 25 cards that should be on the table, and obviously this will be put on this little standee and can only be seen by, the spy masters. So both spy masters or codemasters know which cards are whose, and you really want your team just to guess your cards. There are two other different types of cards on here. So these, grayish cards, beige cards, which are innocent people, so you don't want to point at them either. And that one black spot is the assassin, which if you pick him, you instantly lose the game. So the game starts with the team whose color is in the corner up here, so you can see it's blue, and on this one it has a little red thing. That team has to guess one more one more agent or one more word. So you start with a stack of these cards, usually there are 8, so you have to guess 8 different words from this little thing here. However, if your starting team is red, you get a 9th word on there, or, you just flip it over if you're the blue team and have to start. The process of actually guessing the words is really simple in theory, but really hard if you're the codemaster. So looking at these words, you try to have you guys guess your words. To do that, you give them a hint, just one single word and a number. So what you're trying to do is to give a word that ties together as many of the words in front of them, hopefully the correct ones, and the number gives them an indication how many cards you're actually talking about. So let's see if I can find something that actually, I just realized this probably wouldn't help you because these cards are in German. So let's say you find, have a card in front of you that says nut and crown, and your hint would be either tree, 2, or maybe Louis, 2. The famously crazy king here in Europe who was wearing a crown.
And was nuts.
As I said.
Or had nuts too. So that's double meaning.
See? Then your team gets to put, or it must point at least one of the cards in front of you and try to guess which cards you were talking about. If they are correct, you take one of your little thingies here and just put it on top of them, and from now on, well, that card is kind of out of the game, which is important for another thing. When I said you can give a hint, you're obviously not allowed to use the words on those 25 cards in front of you to give that hint. And sometimes one of those cards has the exact word that you want to use to point at 5 different cards. It would be super simple, but, well, it has to be gone to be usable by your team. If they guess correctly, they can keep on guessing for as many cards as you mentioned in your hint, +1. At the first turn, that doesn't make a lot of sense, I guess. So if I'm saying, well, King 2, and they have guessed 2 cards and were correct, there's not really a point guessing a third card. However, let's assume on the second turn they have to guess something else, and they did not guess both cards from the first turn, but just one. That's where the you may guess an additional card comes in. You might go back on your last hint and have a guess at what it is that you were supposed to be pointing at. The first team who manages to, well, guess all the cards wins, and then you can just start the next round by simply, well, turning over all those cards and revealing 25 new words, and just grabbing a new one of these, and, well, looking who's going to start. The only rules in terms of what words you have to, or what words you're allowed to give are, first of all, it has to be just one word, so no sentence, no song, no sound or something, just a simple word and a number. And the word must in some way or form relate to the words on the cards in terms of meaning. So, something that would not be allowed, let's assume there are 2 different words that your team has to guess that consist of just 3 letters. You're not allowed to just say 3, 2, which would just describe the letters of the words. However, you're allowed to, let's say, someone has to, well, that's actually, I'm just remembering German words, so that is actually quite difficult to come up with something. Let's say there's a card on the board that says Ray. What you're allowed to say would be X1 in terms of, well, it could be an X-ray or something like that. So you can give a hint like that, but you could also say Charles 1 in regards to Ray Charles if you want to give that hint. You can also, and that is more an advanced rule, but you could say something like Rabbit 0, which means the cards you're pointing at have, or the cards your team has to guess, has nothing to do at all with rabbits. And they may guess as often as they want. So if you're saying 0, you're just giving the hint, well, the clue I gave you, none of the cards applying to that. And although there are 25 different words in front of you, we had it in sometimes where I want to use that word that's either on the card, or I want to say one word, but then that hints at something else. So it may be easier to specifically hint at what card not to pick. Why is that? Well, if you guess correctly, as I said, you just keep on guessing until you have your attempts plus one done, and or you give up and say I'm passing after making a correct guess for the first time. If you pick the wrong card, well, there's different things that could happen. If it's one of these cards, your turn just ends and the next team is on there. If you pick one of the enemy team's cards, the same thing happens, but now you help them and they have to guess one word less. It's really bad if you pick this guy, because then your team instantly loses, and that is something you will agonize about if you're the Codemaster, because you're like, okay, I have to give a hint. It must not aim at one of this card and try to get your team, to guess their way to victory.
And that's a perfect wrap-up for the first section, I think, right? Anything you forgot? I don't think so.
The game comes with variant rules for playing with 2 or with 3, which are, quite simply with 2, you have just one Codemaster, one guy, someone who guesses, and then depending on how many turns it took you to guess the cards, you get a score at the end, which is kind of nice. If you're playing with 3, you still only have one Codemaster, and he has to kind of try to help both parties to win the game. So the Codemaster is almost like a neutral player in there, and you're just giving out hints for the other two. To be honest, start this game with 4 and up. It says 4 to 8, 2 to 8 players, but in fact, I think this even works with more than 8 players perfectly fine, because your team's allowed to talk about that stuff. And while it comes with this little timer here, in fact, the manual says in a very amusing way, hey, you may have found the clock, the sand clock in the game. What is it for? And it's the sand clock of shame. So if someone is taking way too long, you just grab this thing, turn it over, and then it gives them a good hint to kind of get on and progress with stuff.
Yeah. So let's hop into the next section, likes and dislikes. So you played it once at Spiel, right? So you gotta talk later a tiny bit about that experience in the next section if there's something cool to tell. But other than that, we played it with different groups. And I really liked about that game that it fits perfectly for so many different kinds of gaming groups. So it's not the only fitting for like the Euro gamers or only for the casual gamers. I really like that it fits for pretty much all of the gaming groups that we have, and that it's just a lot of fun as a filler game. You could have like 2, 3, 4 rounds a night and then go on to another game, but it's really, really lovely as a game when you wait for people to arrive, I think, or as a filler game in between bigger, more draining kind of games, or just as a closer, maybe. So I really like that it fits that section. Going to quality of components and art style and everything, it's nice. When it comes to art style, it's cute, but it's nothing fancy, and I think the game doesn't require anything fancy there. I really like the quality of the cardboard and also the cards. They're kind of laminated, so there won't probably be a lot of wear and tear. And I really like that the cards with the words are printed on both sides. So it's just very efficient there.
Yeah, because both
I mean both sides like this, not both directions.
I mean, both things are pretty good because you have to look at this card as as the Codemaster as well as the team who's trying to guess them. So being able to read them from both sides helps,
and not taken away by staring at an angle where the cards of your team are.
And just like flipping them over to get a second round is pretty nice because that's. I mean, nobody really likes that much setting up stuff. So just having a quick second round by flip all those over and you're done is pretty good.
Yeah, I really like it. I mean, I'm curious how it plays with other languages because I really like the German languages with this one, but that's due to the language itself. We do have, as it also says in the manual, we do have a lot of composite words. So I wonder,
very long words.
Yeah.
If we want to, you could just take any dictionary and start stringing all the words together. It'll probably be fine.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's way more difficult to play this game in other languages that do not have these long words like English, French.
I think you just have to be a little bit creative, or have to think a little bit more around corners.
I guess.
To get that stuff. So, which one do you prefer? Being the one who has to guess, or being the Codemaster?
It depends. It heavily depends on the people I play with.
If you're playing with me or with someone else?
If I play with you, I like both. No, I mean, that goes a bit into the experiences already, but it really very heavily depends on the gaming group. If there's somebody that I know inside and out, I also like to be the spy master, but it's way easier to be the person who has to guess and then blame the spy master for not giving the obvious hints that would have led you to certain points.
I prefer being the Codemaster because I like the challenge of trying to how can I associate these two words? Is there some secondary, tertiary meaning to one of these things that could hint at those?
I like that too, but if the other part of the team doesn't work the way you want to, though it's totally obvious, and we're gonna get into that story with the experiences, then I find it frustrating easily. Then it's now not really that fun anymore. I like it more when somebody gets me, so I can go around a lot of corners as the spy master to give you a hint, and the other one kind of thinks in the same way, so at one point you will get what I hint at. So I like it.
I also like this. So this game comes with 3 stacks of these cards, which, as I said, 2-sided. So that's a lot of variety that you can have to set up the game. And we usually had not a lot of words from the same categories. I think we only had one game where there were a lot of states on in terms of words.
And we can tell it now. And the black guy card was the card with the name state on it. So we couldn't say state, and we really had trouble to not have you point at state with all the other cards being there.
As you might have guessed, these hint sheets or clue sheets who kind of tell which card belongs to which. It doesn't matter which way you put them in there, so there's a lot of variety in there. There's actually a fair number of those in there as well. And as you said, I do like these cards. They're sturdily produced. Actually, one thing I do like about this, although it is kind of inconsequential for the game itself, that it has dudes and girls on different sides, and you can throw them to the ground and see
if your wife can pick them up.
See if Codenames Sarah can bump against the table and make the camera shake.
Did I?
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
and even for those neutral cards that have the total. I like this clueless look on this guy's face. It's kind of the same face that people make if you reveal to them that they guessed wrong. And I do like that this guy exists. It seems minor that there's one card that can instantly end the game, or it seems unfair that there's one thing if you pick the wrong card. But it adds a surprising amount of tension to the game. It is annoying if your team lost its guessing attempt, but still a relief if they picked, let's say, the enemy's team card,
or the neutral
or
one.
or a neutral one. But having that assassin in there just spices up the game a little bit, which is makes for a great experience.
Yeah.
And as I said, I almost prefer giving the hints a bit more than guessing the game. As you said, that it is being able to be played, set up, and having 2 quick rounds of this game so fast. So it says 50 minutes on the box, and that's pretty much how long it takes, which I think makes it a very good game for bigger crowds. I do like playing a game like Resistance or Avalon, these typical games that get more interesting the more people you have at the table, but they take some time to get going. And with this, you start right away and have 2-3 games through in half an hour easily without any problems. And everybody's engaged, and even if it's the other team's turn, you'd still keep guessing, what was that card that we didn't guess, and what were they thinking? Even up to having pretty epic moments, which
we're gonna tell them,
which I'll get to, but by seeing your team rush to maybe find out the last cards, and all the games I guess we had were never very clear cut. So there's not one team won by having 7 cards advance over the other
it was
team.
Either the black dude or really, really close, like 1 or 2 cards. But let's quickly rate, and then we can tell the people on the internet all our very funny stories about playing Codenames. So let's see, what do you rate it?
Codenames gets a Roger Tango Bravo from me, and does really well with that.
That's great.
If this would be a different movie, I would have a little cassette tape that would say, "And destroy this message after blah blah blah." Bum bum ba da dum bum ba. Oh, sorry.
Copyright.
The copyright guys will try to figure out what
you bumped
what I
there.
really hummed at. Yeah.
So on my personal scale, from 1 to awesome, it's a solid awesome. It got a few points just because of the replayability thingy, with the sheets being pointable in all 4 directions, plus the cards being double printed, like on both sides. I very much enjoy that. It's very efficient, and I guess there will be expansion packs for more cards coming out at one point, so it's totally cool.
I've seen some folks online, or even some designers, saying that it is ingenious because they can just throw out expansions and make money by just adding more words on cards. Although I have to say, I don't think they can just take any words, and the words that are on these cards all are very simple, but
they all have a very broad and a very specific meaning. So you can have a secondary, tertiary, and all of that. So let's get into.
I just want to, since this is ratings, if you're looking for a game to have available at Christmas with a family meeting or something like that.
That's perfect.
I'm struggling hard to find a different game that I could recommend as much as this. It is super easy to pick up, and I mean, we will talk about this. This works for every age range. As long as someone is able to read a card, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And it's really a lot of fun.
So let's go into what will probably be my favorite section of this video, the funny stories and experiences. So we played it 11 times.
And that was no fun for me. It was just this constant string of frustration.
No, it was once more for you because you played it at the HBO, and you played it in English. You were kind of lost.
So we played this in English. A friend of mine who is an American against a Dutch, I guess, family or group of friends. So yeah, that was an interesting challenge.
Combo.
If I remember correctly, I don't think we won, but we got close. So yeah, this final hint that I always bring this up because it's almost hilarious. It was like something like Gallifrey 5, which is like, okay, now
you lost me there.
First of all, we're a little bit behind, and now we have to catch up. But that's what I meant with there's potential for greatness because someone says Gallifrey 5, and then. This one, yeah. This one, yeah. This one, yeah. This one, the black guy, no. Yeah, it's...
Yeah, that was yeah, I guess very funny. Well, I wasn't there, but you telling that story over and over again means that you had a great time.
That first play, so I've seen that there's a new Vlada game out called Codenames when we went to Essen. I did not take a look at that. I just saw then and there that it's supposedly obviously a party game with different words, and just on a whim we sat down and said, yeah, it's probably nice, but after playing this we immediately picked it up because it's
it's hilarious.
There are usually games that are good or that are interesting, but there are few where you just pick up and this is amazing, and also I can play this with pretty much everyone.
So then we played it with our group of friends for quite a while. You guys were, one night you guys were a team, and Tina and I were a team, and we worked really, really well together. So it was like you won a game with Sticks and I won a game with Tina. So very close. Then we had a few games, just the two of us, trying to be hired by the German...
the B&D.
The B&D, the intelligence agency of Germany, which is 5 cards of the other team have to be left in the...
That's how the scoring works.
Yeah,
in case you're wondering, no, you don't get a job offer by the German intelligence agency. Although...
Maybe.
Sometimes I wonder if that is their hiring process.
Yeah, let's play a round of Codenames. Yeah, you're in. Here's your contract. No, but so we played a few rounds, just the two of us, and that was actually the rounds that I don't want to say I enjoyed the least, but it was way more difficult than to guess the hints that you gave. Maybe it was just because there's only one spy master and you don't hear what the other team gets as hints. So even if they don't guess all of their hints, you hear and you associate, you probably know which card not to take because it's very likely
you're getting a hint at what probably not to pick, which is also still a hint. So
but you don't get that when it's just the two of us playing. And if I remember correctly, I'm not sure, but I think I had more neutral cards that I pointed at when you were giving hints.
Yeah,
just
you were
to me.
Doing a really bad job.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I will now crawl under the couch and cry, and I will never come out.
Actually, if you do that, you can take our duster and clean up.
See, he's lovely, right? No, so it was way more difficult with the 2 players. But then we had another night with the same group of friends, and we played 2 more rounds. And him and I played in a team together, and Styx and Tina played in a team together. And 2 times in a row, we were very close, like 1 or 2 hints apart, or cards apart, and then Styx always put down his finger on the black dude. They were out instantly. And Tina next to me was like, what? No! she was so sad that she had no chance with getting across her hints so that he would pick the black dude. But on one of those games, it was the lots of countries and cities, and the black dude was the state thing. And of course, he pointed at state at one point. But yeah, that was very funny. But I guess the most difficult and most fun round was actually with your parents and
my grandma
and your grandma this week.
Again, any age group. So
any age group. So Daniel played the Spy Master for his mom, and I had his dad and grandma in my team, and it was super funny. I don't know even what we laughed about so hard, but his dad was crying pretty much because he was laughing so hard. So I don't know what I said.
So my grandma is my father's mother, so you can imagine that there's a kind of chemistry going on with trying to agree on which word to pick, and it's just fun if they start yelling at each other and getting that kind of emotional response over, well, a bunch of words.
Yeah, that was super. And at one point, he was just gone. He was laughing so hard. But then, the frustrating part was, so his grandma is like not even what I consider a casual gamer. She's kind of shy, and she thinks that she's not good at the game, so she's like, I don't know, I'm gonna ruin your experience, blah. Certainly
coming from a point where she used to play the typical old 52 card decks, card games, well, not necessarily poker, because that's not big here, but you get the idea, like the traditional card game.
Yeah, so... And she was like, I'm gonna ruin it. He's like, no, Grandma, come on. You two, you will be the perfect spies. You will find out everything. And then I gave my hint, and we encouraged the team to think aloud so that us, the spy masters, can see how they think to be better with the hints. And so she was thinking aloud, and I was like, yeah, she gets me, yay! She has it down. She said all the right words, but she didn't put the finger on the card yet, so I couldn't put down my tokens.
I'm not. My dad obviously then took the wrong one.
First, he was confusing her like all the way, but it could also be this. No, it's totally not what I said. Yes, of course you can. I say carrot, and he says, oh, it's probably a car or something like that. What the heck?
By the way, I don't think there's official rules on that, but we found that this game gets a lot more funny when the spy masters of the other team also give random, well, non-hints.
It could also be this, shut up, honey! Your grandma was...
Misdirection.
But I couldn't tell everybody that, listen to Grandma. Grandma is right. Dad, shut up, or just encourage her to be, well, even guessing faster and put down her finger. But he was so... very much confusing her that she was like, oh, that could be this, I don't know, say something, and he pointed most times at the wrong words, and then I was just like, oh. And his mom was, I'm so sorry. Next time we switch teams, then you will be my spy master and somebody.
No, next time both of us play together and let them have at it.
That would be cool too. Huh? I would love that if they would be the spy masters and us would guess. That would be awesome. But anyway, so it was the best and most frustrating experience of the game. Just Wednesday night, like, I want to have a new team. I don't want to play with them.
You can't choose your spy teams and or family.
And then once the game had ended, and I was like, Grandma, you were always right. Come on, don't listen to your son or your grandson. They just confuse you. You were right. You got me. And she was like, oh, really? Okay. Next time, please, just guess. It's fine.
So
yeah.
That's Codenames Foxtrot Tango Whiskey. For the win.
For the win, yeah. Oh boy, so let's wrap up this video. And first of all, we'd like to know if you played the game and if you liked it. So if you would be so kind as to
or
leave...
if not.
Or have not and want to pick it up, please let us know. I'm very curious.
Maybe you really dislike words. I'm partial. Some words I don't like either. So maybe,
like work?
Maybe some people don't like words at all, or thinking about words, or giving hints, or guessing words.
I guess you don't like words in certain combinations, like bring down the trash. I think other words are very, very lovely for you in combinations, like dinner is ready.
I value myself very tolerant for some words, but yeah, their difficulties are there to overcome with that particular order of words.
How about dinner is ready soon?
Yeah, I'm getting hungry.
Better? Yeah, me too. So it's time for dinner at our house because late.
This is a late recording.
Yeah, very late. So take good care, have fun. Again, let us know if you like the game, if you want to pick it up. I'm very curious. I guess you are too. And we thank you very much for watching. If you feel like it, hit that thumbs up button or share this video or subscribe to the channel or do all three of those things. That would be awesome and very much appreciated. And we're going to see you next week with a new Gamers Couch and a new game. So
and with that, I'm saying parting one. Goodbye.
Bye.
It took you longer than.
No, I was thinking about au revoir, but there are two words, so it wouldn't be on the card. Tschüss. That's also one word.